Today we will be graphing linear inequalities. So we have learned how to graph a linear equation, and we will be using the same skill to graph a linear inequality, but now we will be using shading and different types of lines to indicate the inequality. So first let's go over the inequality symbols. So this first one is greater than. The arrow is pointing to the right. The next one is less than, where the arrow is pointing to the left. Those same symbols with a line under it mean greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. We will be shading on the graph, so we will be shading up for the greater thans, so either greater than or equal to, and we'll be shading down for the less thans, the less than and the less than or equal to. So shading up means if we have a line that goes this direction, we are shading above that line. Again, if the line goes the other direction, shading up still means above the line. When we say shading down, if the line's going this way, we are shading below that line. If we have a negative slope, it's still shading below the line for shading down. For greater than and less than, so we don't see the line underneath the arrow, we are going to use a dotted line. And when we do have the line underneath, the or equal to, we're going to use solid lines. So let's look at these examples. We are given the inequality in slope-intercept form, which we went over when we were graphing linear equations. So this part should look very familiar to you. So we have an inequality in number 1 given in slope-intercept form. That is y is less than 2x plus 3. So first let's identify what the slope is. Remember, that's this number in front of x. The slope is 2. So my rise over run will be 2 over 1. And the y-intercept is 3. So my intercept is going to be placed at, so b equals 3, so my y-intercept is at 0, 3, right here. From there, my rise over run is 2 over 1, so I'm going to go up 2 and to the right 1. Now, if I run out of graph, I'm just going to go back the other direction. So reverse that, and you're going to go down 2 and 1 to the left. Down 2 and 1 to the left. So now that I have my points plotted using that slope, go back to the inequality, and we see that this is a less than symbol. Less than, there's no line underneath it, so it's not or equal to, it's just less than. That means the line will be dotted. So we're going to use this type of line. And because it's less than, we will be shading down. So let's go ahead and finish up this line and shading. So because we're using a dotted line, I'm just going to go in between my plotted points and just add a few dashes. So there's my line, and it says I'm shading below the line. So I will be shading this direction, below the line. What you can also do, if you're not sure if you shaded in the correct direction, is you can pick a test point. I like to pick the origin as my test point. So the shaded region means that those are the solutions to the inequality. Any of those points are solutions to the inequality. So what you can do is test that point. So if this point is 0, 0, and this is my x value and my y value, I can plug that value into my inequality and see if it works. So if y is 0 from my point is less than 2 and x is also 0 from my test point plus 3, now I just solve this to see if it is true. So 0 is less than, 2 times 0 is 0, so that can cancel out. And I'm left with 3. 0 is less than 3. That is a true statement. So that means that I did shade correctly. So my test point is in the shaded region, and I did shade in the correct direction. You don't have to do the test point, but if you're not sure if you're shading in the correct direction, you can always pick a test point, put in the x and y values to your inequality, and solve. Okay, number 2. Y is greater than 4x plus 1. So in this inequality, my slope is 4. So my rise over run is 4 over 1. And the y-intercept is 1. So B is 1. So my point will be plotted at 0, 1. That's my y-intercept. Now I'm going to use rise over run to plot my next point. So 4 over 1 means I'm going to go up 4 boxes and 1 to the right. And I can't go up anymore because I run out of graph, so reverse it, go down 4 and 1 to the left. And you'll see that that's forming a straight line. Looking at the inequality symbol, we have greater than. It does not have the or equal to line under it. So this will be, again, a dotted line. And we're going to shade up because this is greater than. Y is greater than. So if you're not sure, you can always come up and use this key up here. These symbols tell you to shade up, these symbols tell you to shade down, and those symbols tell you whether to use a dotted or a solid line. So again, this is a dotted line. I'm just going to fill this in with some dashes. Remember to put arrows on the ends of your line. Now we are shading up this time, so I'm going to shade above the line. Sometimes when these lines are not, they're a little more vertical than horizontal, it can be maybe a little tricky to see which direction is up and which direction is down. And then if that's the case, you can always use a test point. So I'll pick a test point here in the shaded region. This test point is -2, 2. This is my x, this is my y. So I'm going to plug in the x and y values to this inequality and see if the statement is true. My y value is 2, is greater than 4 times my x value, which is -2, plus 1. So to solve now, 2 is greater than 4 times -2 is -8, plus 1. 2 is greater than -7, and that is a true statement. 2 is in fact greater than -7, so my test point is in the solution set, which is the shaded region, so I shaded in the correct direction. All right, so let's not do any more test points. Again, you only need to do that if you're unsure of which direction you're supposed to shade. Number 3, y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x minus 3. So m is 1/2, that's my slope. rise over run is 1 over 2. B is -3. So my y-intercept is at 0, -3, right there. Using my slope, I'm going to go up 1 and 2 to the right. Up 1, 2 to the right, up 1, 2 to the right. When I run out of graph, I'm going to go back in the opposite direction and just reverse the slope. So down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Now greater than or equal to, that means that the line is going to be solid. It has that little line underneath the symbol. It's going to be a solid line. And it's greater than, so we're shading above the line. So let's go ahead and draw a solid line through the points that we've plotted. Oh, I could have put one more point there. And I am shading above the line. Number 4, y is less than or equal to -3x plus 2. M is -3. So my rise over run is -3 over 1. B is 2. So my y-intercept is at 0, 2. And using my slope, I'm going to go down 3, 1 to the right. Down 3, 1 to the right. Can't go any farther that direction, so I'm going to reverse it. Up 3 and 1 to the left to complete my line. A less than or equal to symbol means that the line will be solid. So I will go ahead and draw this solid line. Oops. And we will be shading down because this is a less than or equal to symbol. So we will shade now below the line. You can see based on the direction that the line is slanted, that shading to the left is going to be below the line. All right, number 5. Y is less than -1/4 x plus 5. Slope is -1 over 4. And the y-intercept, B, is 5. So my first point will be at 0, 5. And my slope will be down 1, 4 to the right. And I can't really go another way in that direction, so I'll go 4 to the left and up 1. This line will be dotted, and we are going to be shading down. Okay, last example, y is greater than or equal to x plus 2. So in this example, m is 1, because if there is no number in front of x, the coefficient is 1. M is 1, and the rise over run would be 1 over 1. B is 2. My first point will be plotted at 0, 2. That's my y-intercept. And 1 over 1 would have my line going this way. Greater than or equal to says that the line would be solid, and it's greater than, so we will be shading up. So a solid line. And we are shading above the line. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what you'll be doing in Delta Math. So you will be doing 2.4a, graphing linear inequalities. And here is an example. So we will be looking at only lines given in slope-intercept form for this practice. So starting with your y-intercept, that's b. We're going to plot your first point at 2. And then the rise over run is 3 over 5. So my next point would be at 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As soon as you plot that second point, your line will appear. So then you need to decide, is it going to be a dotted or a solid line? There's no line underneath. There's no or equals to. So this is going to be a dotted line. So I'm going to click change the line. Now I need to shade one direction or the other. So if this is less than, I want to shade below the line. So I'm just going to click change shade. That made it shade above. I'll click it one more time, change shade, and now it's shaded down. So I'll submit, and that was correct. All right, so that's what you'll be doing in today's practice.